What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to G-Ball Vision. Thank you for stopping in. Today, I got an interesting one for you guys. Before we get started, double check and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I would love to have you here. And before you head out, do me a huge favor. Hit the thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it, everyone. It really helps push the video out there so more people can check it out. And feel free to let me know what you are carrying in your pockets today down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. So we're taking a look at the Camillus TRC, and this is the first knife I've ever handled from Camillus, and because of lighting it's going to be not the best display, but this knife has a mirror finish to it. It's really good looking, nice drop point blade shape. It's got dual thumb studs and a flipper tab for the deployment. The steel choice on this is going to be VG10. Now, this is going to be coming in right around $100, and you're going to be getting the VG10, which is it's a good mid-grade steel, and they call this their titanium finish. It's part of the Camillus titanium line, and where they get that is this is basically a titanium mirrored finish is what they're calling it. And for the handle material, we have this nice weave carbon fiber. It's really good looking stuff. Try to get a close-up of it, but it's really good looking, feels great, feels like high quality weave carbon fiber. Now we have a lower mounted pocket clip, and I would say that there's a couple of things I would change on this knife, and I think it would be absolutely a fantastic. I think it would make a great, secondary knife for me personally. But there are a couple of things I'd like to see changed, and right off the get-go, of course, starting on the blade, keep the show side of the blade nice and clean. And I think that would pretty much finish this knife off because we have that nice mirrored finish. We have a good drop point blade, which is going to be very useful. We have a decent stainless steel in VG10. And this is going to be hollow ground as well. So it's going to be a pretty good slicer, at least it should be. We're going to double check that. The detent on this is really nice. It's really well done. Really snappy on the thumb studs. And then the rear flipper tab works well for the light switch and for the push button as well. So very good on the opening action. The closing action, you're going to have to deal with that flipper tab. As long as you're low enough on that liner, you're going to be past the detent and you're not going to lock yourself out. You're past it there. So it's not real early, but it's not real late either. You're going to hit it right there, and then it starts to go up on the blade right there. So, as long as you're about halfway or so on the liner, pretty much put your thumbnail in this little groove here, and that'll get you past the detent. So pretty good on the closing action. It's nice and smooth. The pocket clip is kind of an afterthought. I think they kind of, if this was nailed, if they nailed the pocket clip, the branding would be literally the only thing I can think of right off first impressions that I would really change. Now, we'll have to see, but this could prove to be a useful pocket clip. I don't really care for the aesthetic of it. They do a triple Torx there, and that's basically going to be so it's very rigid and durable, which I don't mind that. Off-Grid Knives does that as well, but they use a fold-over clip, and it's very clean and minimal looking. There's a lot going on with this pocket clip. And I think it's a little, it's a little unnecessary. They do give you a nice amount of surface area here to get this out of your pocket, and it does have really good retention. As far as ergonomics, I can't really complain about the pocket clip too much. I do feel this area here where it loops over in my knuckle. Now, I think, does it hurt? No, but I think if you were to use this for an extended period, which I don't know what you'd be doing for an extended period, but if you were to use this to cut up, 10 or 15 boxes or something like that, I think eventually it would start to get fatiguing on your knuckle, or depending on where that lands. And I think in order to solve that, it would be very easy if they did a fold over clip here, or even shortened this up to 2 screws and really brought this area up here. You could still make it a lower mounted clip, but just only have this amount showing here and shorten it up a little bit more, clean this up, thin it up a little bit more, and change the design so it kind of dies as it comes up. Instead of doing this fold over area here, I think it would be very, very comfortable for just casual use, getting it out and making a cut or two. You know, I don't think it's going to prove to be an issue. The access to the liner is really good. They chamfer this area out here. I think that feels like, to me, they notch this out almost like that's where they want you to put your fingernail, which I think is a cool feature of the knife, or a cool part of the design. But I wish they would have chamfered this area out, and that would have just made it a little bit more comfortable to disengage. But it does work well. It's easy to get to, so it's, you know, not a huge nitpick or complaint with the knife. So we don't typically do, in a first video like this, measurements and so on, but I don't know how long I will have this knife, so we'll go over a couple of the things. It is coming in under that 7-inch mark, so this is going to be more of a mid-size knife, coming in at 6 3/4 overall. We have a 3-inch blade with about 2 and about 13/16 of cutting edge. So it's going to be a really good size in the mid-size area. And where I place knives like this is typically either a 5th pocket type knife or a secondary style of knife. It's right at that mark for me as a secondary 3-inch blade or so. So this is, you know, kind of a, I think this is their kind of do-it-all type folder. EDC, outdoor stuff, you know, just so you have a knife on you. But I think if they went back to the drawing board with this knife and just made a few very easy changes, in my opinion, very easy changes. They got an awesome looking knife here, on this side, minus the branding. Really good looking knife. And I could even see this knife without the flipper tab. And then you got an even better looking. Now I do enjoy the flipper though. So, but it, you know, aesthetically, it would look way better closed and opened without that flipper tab. Looks good closed. It looks fine. Opened, it would definitely look better without the flipper and without the branding. This could be, you know, with that mirrored finish on the blade, this would look like a very premium knife. You know, with a few minor changes, this would look really, really good. Now, this was sent in. It is pre-owned and whatnot, carried, I'm sure. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it has much for an edge on it. And like I said, I don't know how much this was used and carried. It looks like it's in pretty good shape as far as any markings or anything like that. But that's not all telling. He could have carried this a ton. And it does seem to cut. I just think it has maybe its working edge still. And going, you know, it'll cut just fine. But I think it's kind of lost that fine edge. And that may be how the knife came. Let's double check that edge on just some single ply cardboard. I just want to see, it does have some tape here. So we might experience, oh, see, it goes right through that. Not even trying. That's me trying. Here's not trying. Right through the tape, right through the cardboard. That's odd that it was having trouble. I've seen it many times though. Knives have trouble with the paper, and then you move to something a little bit denser and it just right through it like butter. And I think that mirrored finish, I could be wrong on that. This has tape on it. That is probably going to help aid in, you know, how smooth it may go through certain materials. But yeah, I think this is a really cool knife. I'd love to see a few changes with the knife. Now, Camillus is more of a outdoor gear brand. You know, they make big fixed blades and saws and stuff like that. They do have pocket knives and quite a few fixed blades. But if they were to just go back to the drawing board and make a few small changes, I'd love to see an upgraded steel. VG10 is okay, but once we cross that $100 price point area, I won't mind seeing, you know, if this was S30 or S35 or something like that at $100, and I bet they could do it for like 110 or something in that ballpark, 115 with the carbon fiber S30 or S35. Little redesign on the clip there, and this thing is an awesome little EDC knife. But as it sits, do I think it's worth $100? No, probably not as it sits. As much as I like the knife and enjoy the knife, I do think, you know, and the carbon fiber might be a little bit of that markup. I think they are, you know, the polished blade, that's going to go into, you know, the price point. The carbon fiber. VG10 does go up into those low hundreds, and it can go beyond that as well. So it's not out of the norm to see VG10 between 80 and 120. You know, you see it often. But I would like to see a little change in the steel. And I think at that point it would be worth, you know, 110 or 115 as it sits right now, with the VG10, with the way the clip is. And I don't think that would be an easy clip to, you know, find a replacement for this triple pattern. You're not going to, you know, you'd have to modify something yourself in order, and it's recessed. So you'd have to really do something with this in order to get it to work with a new clip or this clip being redone somehow. It ain't going to happen. But yeah, I like it. It's just, I think maybe $80 would be more, you know, right in line. $80 for the VG10, the carbon fiber. I think that's probably a little closer to realistic. $80, I think, tops. $75, $80, somewhere in that ballpark. I think that would be very fitting for the knife. As far as any, we do have a nicely centered blade. There's no detent lash. There's no pivot lash. As lockup goes, there's no up and down play. There's no side-to-side play. And as far as the lockup, it is sitting pretty strong at like 60%. And it is solid as well. So, you know, as it sits, it's a decent knife. Get a little bit of an edge back on there. Strop it up, sharpen it up, whatever you need to do. And this would be a nice, solid little knife here. Camillus has a good foundation for the knife. Couple of minor changes, and I think they'd have a hell of a, you know, fifth pocket, secondary type knife. You guys will have to let me know. What do you think of the TRC from Camillus? Love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. I always appreciate that. We release videos just like this one every single day. So if you are new here, hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell. I'd love to have you. Otherwise, guys, I'll throw up a couple of new videos. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.